And she told me, you know, go to school. If you want to make good money, you have to either be a doctor or a lawyer. How many people got fed that story? And I went to school, and so I was trying to do the things that she was telling me to do. So I went to school, and I got my minor in cellular, molecular biology, and genetics.
What?
I don't even know what, you know, I have no idea. I know I did use it for teaching. I taught like biology and physics and chemistry. But my plan was to go to be a doctor. And sometimes you get in school and you realize you don't want to be in school that long. I mean, people have experienced that. So I said, you know what, well, I want to do some other things. And I got out of school and I was trying to find a good job. I mean, looking for like just a good job. So I was looking for that good job. And I actually wound up teaching for a few years. But you know, teachers just are never paid with their work. And so I wanted more money. How many of you sometimes you get into a profession, but you're like, you know, I want more money. And sometimes just that increase isn't enough, right?
Right.
And so I went into corporate America. And I said, okay, I have a little bit more money. I had a company car. I had a lot of flexibility. But sometimes when you upgrade your lifestyle, it's still never enough. Do you guys understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, I got married, I bought my first home, I had my first child, and you know when you have one of those little ones, you really have nothing left because they suck you dry. And so I said, okay, I want to make more money. So I started real estate. How many people are real estate agents? Any real estate agents? I got my real estate license. I said, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to sell real estate, and I think I might have made a good $1,500. In selling real estate. So I didn't really sell that many homes, and obviously no homes of a big value. And I got another job. You know, I went into corporate America, I got into sales, and I said, okay, this is good. But let me tell you what happened, because I believe truly that timing is everything. You guys believe that?
Yes.
I actually ran into a neighbor of mine who was in pharmaceutical sales. And she worked for a top company, which is called Eli Lilly. And I knew a little bit about that industry, which is a six-figure industry. She had been tenured. She had been with them 5 years. So when I first talked to her about just, you know, speaking to her, she was my neighbor, we were outside, I was actually thinking about switching and going over into pharmaceutical sales. It made sense because they make good money, right?
Yeah.
I was always looking for more what?
Money.
And so we started talking and going back and forth, and she said, well, hurry up because I'm making some changes. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, what are you doing? And she started talking about video phone technology. Now look at me, do I look technical? No, right? So I'm like looking at her like, okay, video phone technology, I have no idea what this is. I'm the least technical person there is. You guys can tell that, right? And so I kind of passed it by, and sometimes in life we do that. We hear about things, but we don't know for sure if it's for us, and you kind of just pass it by, and that's exactly what I did. I didn't even look at it. But let me tell you what happened. Time just went by. And then you get to a point in time in your life where sometimes you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And even though I was making good money, I was never making enough for, it felt like for me to even just save. How many people feel that way sometimes? Yeah. And you can start putting a little money aside, but it just never seems to accumulate because you always got to go back into it, take out, and pay for something else. Right. Anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
Was I the only one living this life?
No.
Okay. And so I say, you know what, I want to be an entrepreneur. I understood that, you know what, I can work this job for the rest of my life, but I'll never get rich from it. How many people understand that?
Yes.
And so I said, you know what, I want to try some other things. And you take a look at some of the celebrities out there. You know, I wasn't able to sing, so that was cut out. You know, I'm definitely not athletic. You know, I can't play tennis or basketball or anything like that, so all those things were cut out, right? And so I said, okay, what are some other things that I could do? I thought about starting my own business. You know, me and my husband looked into franchising. How many people ever looked into franchising? And so it's very expensive. It's a lot of money that you have to put up front. And sometimes it's the equivalent of either a house or, you know, a lot of homes, right? And I just really didn't have that upfront money. And so running into my neighbor, I said, you know what? She started talking to me about the business. And what I found out was that she quit her six-figure income job. And for me, it was an eye-opener. And my mouth dropped. I remember when she told me that day. And she asked me something that was very simple. She said, now do you have time to take a look at my business? What do you think I said?
Yes.
It's not crazy, right? I said I would look at it, and that's exactly what I did. I looked at it, and let me tell you what happened over the years that I've been with this company. I started 3.5 years ago, but I took it very serious. For me, it was an opportunity for something that I've never experienced before. See, the degree is one thing, the job is one thing, but now to be in business for yourself is something completely different. And so not only is it an opportunity to make money, but the sky is the limit. And see, one thing I understood with my job is that I could work as hard as I wanted to work, but they could only increase my pay by so much. And when you're in your own business, you have the opportunity now to work hard, but now to get paid what you're worth. And for me, that made sense. Does it make sense to you?
Right. Yes.
And so I said, you know what, I'm going to try it. You know, I understood that when I looked at this company, you know, one thing that Willie shared with you is that we have a lot of services that people use each and every single day. So when you leave here, one thing that you will continue to pay is a cell phone bill. You'll continue to pay a home phone bill, internet bill, all the things that we provide, the companies that you're familiar with, you will continue to pay them. Not only will you pay them, your family and your friends will pay them. You guys understand that?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And so one thing that made sense with me with this company is it wasn't a lotion, or a potion, or a pill. It was something that people used every day. And so I said, if I can at least get paid off of that, that made sense to me. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Right. Yes.
And so I took off running with the company. I was very coachable. I actually learned from some of the best in the company. And I just said, you know what? This is a time where I'm not going to take what I've learned in the past and come in and think I know everything. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to be coachable. I went to all the trainings. I made sure that whenever somebody told me something, I didn't just listen, but I went out and I actually implemented some of the things that I learned. I started reading books. I found out that everything that you want to know to be successful is really in a book.
In a book, yeah.
And it's amazing because most people don't read. Right?
Right.
And so I started reading all these books and following all these people, and within 3 months of starting with this company, I had tripled my income that I was making in corporate America.
Wow. Wow.
7 months down the line, I actually was able to retire myself at the age of 27 from my job.
Wow.
I've been in now for 3.5 years. The biggest blessing, because you guys might have seen the video. Did they see the video? Did they see my video? No. Didn't show my video? No. Good. Nobody ever recognizes me in the video. I was pregnant doing the video, so when I come in and they say, is that you? So it's a good thing you didn't show the video. But, you know, the video shows the home, it shows the cars, and it shows all the beautiful things that this business can provide. So what I want you to understand is this is past technology. What this is now a new lifestyle that you can create for yourself. Right. You know, I grew up in a single family home. I actually retired my mother last year.
Cool.
Yes.
Wow. Gotta do it.
I just sent her a message when I was on the way here, and she's home. She's watching my 2 boys. I have a 7-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I just love the fact that now I can go out and I can help people, but I have my kids that I'm home with. I can spend time with them, and I can watch them grow up. My first child, when I had him, I was working a job, and so I had to take him over to daycare. You know, you pick him up, and by the time you pick him up, it's later in the day. You pick him up around 6 o'clock in the evening, you drop him off in the morning.